Africa, wherever you were. Thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa Television, the only television south of Sahara that looks after African. What ails Africa? What kills Africa? What destroys Africa? Punchline Africa Television always comes up with different aspects. We have shows, we have content regarding the African continent. From conflicts, war zones, Pan-Africanism, economy, which way forward, military coups, democracy. Are we bewitched? Is Africa the only continent where you find all the ingredients of what happened or what happens in other places, all heaped on the continent of Africa? This show today on Sunday, 27th March, the year of our Lord, 2022, we shall be focusing on 3 planks. The first plank will be Kenya. How Uhuru was going to be wiped out by the deputy. How Ruto planned to wipe out the deputy president, planned to wipe out his boss. He plotted to impeach, to take away. We don't know how many other details. We don't have the details. But details are going to emerge. 1 month ago, another gentleman by name Livondo, Stanley Livondo, came up in Fika and stated that there was a plan, a plot to eliminate the president and so that the deputy takes over power. This idea of power lust, this idea of Machiavellian politics, this idea of Nikolai Machiavelli that I've been talking about, and I told you much earlier that there is a Nikolai Machiavelli in town, the one in Kenya, the man who was sent by the Emperor of Sicily to go out to look for troops in Rome from the Pope. But somewhere in the middle, Nikolai Machiavelli, if you read the book, The Prince, turned and formed his own army to come and overthrow the Emperor of Sicily. Ruto was told to go out and inspect projects. But Mr. Ruto decided to go out and organize a government in waiting of his own. He even organized the parliament, changed the parliament, changed in the first hour. And then we go to Africa. Is South Sudan a boiling? Is war imminent? Yesterday, I had a letter from Dr. Yakamachai. He sent it to me on my email, direct on my WhatsApp himself. In that letter, he has warned. He has said there is something wrong here. And therefore, I felt that today, Africa, and Africa ye, and Africa, only we people in Africa must discuss Africa and find out the solution for Africa. If we can't find solutions for Africa, nobody will care for Africa. It is for that reason that I brought this topic on this television station. Whether 2 or 3 or 4, as long as they are gathered down anywhere, preaching the word of God, the Spirit of Jesus Christ and God will always be with them. Amen. Next on our platform today, agenda number 3 of today, before we go back to analyze other things. And as you know, I'm in the studio today, and I have several of my colleagues lined up outside in different parts of the world who are going to come on the panel. Wherever you are across in Africa, Harare, in Libya, in Accra, in Ghana, the Pearl of Africa, Uganda, wherever you are, tune in And look at the man who speaks without fear. It is me. PLO Lumumba speaks English. Matsanga speaks without fear. And I say it as it is. I don't quote. I have no language, no tongue to quote. No biscuits on my tongue. I speak out, and I've been telling Kenyans that Mr. Ruto is not a very good man. I helped Ruto to come out of ICC, but Ruto never came to say thank you to me. And may God hold the God, Jesus Christ, on this Sunday. You see it. It is coming again in May. There will be warrants of arrest. There will be people to take charge for witness. You killed witnesses. You poked their nose and threw them in Miami. Oh yes, those guys have gone. Who is going to talk for them? Matsanga will talk for them. As long as I'm alive, I'll speak for them. I'm not going to be cowed down by Ruto. Ruto is a simple civilian. He can hire people or gunmen, but he cannot fight with a gun if he was given. Some of us fight with guns. We have guns. We know how to cock it, but we don't use any violence against people. Ye, in Africa, what is it that we want in this continent which goes on falling apart from time to time? Isn't it time to rebuild this continent? Isn't it time to talk about it? We have had enough. We have had enough. And then the last topic on our show will be the crisis in Ukraine. How was Africa, how were Africans handled by our neighbors that we always give tea, by our people who come here as ambassadors, by countries in Europe who fly in here, enjoy our sunshine, eat our food, eat the food, the women. How did they handle our African people? How many Africans were stranded in Ukraine and were not allowed to cross over to Poland? What did the Polish police do to our African people? Is Ukraine a boiling pot? Is Ukraine #3 world war springing from there? My panelists this afternoon, good afternoon, Miriam Ogoto.
Good afternoon to you, Doc. Good afternoon to our viewers, and good morning and good evening, depending on where they're tuning in this Sunday.
Thank you very much, Miriam Ogoto. Today is tuning in from one of the good places in Kenya. Good afternoon. The great plenty of sunshine and the rain came on Saturday. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Gladwell Kirugo. How are you, Gladwell?
Good afternoon to you, Doc. Good afternoon to our viewers. Good afternoon to our panelists.
Believe me or not, wherever you are in Nigeria, Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, tune in. Is your country better off? Does your country look better than yesterday? Tell us more. Mr. Buhari, we know very well, has finished people. He doesn't care whether Nigeria goes down, sinks in the Atlantic Ocean. Nigeria, a state with 220 million people, is zero. It doesn't know the head, the tail, or the stomach. Everything in Nigeria looks confused. What a state in Africa. Good afternoon, Sean Wesonga. Good afternoon.
Yes, very good afternoon to you, Dr. Matsanga David, at our political command center. Good afternoon to my sister Miriam Ogutu. Good afternoon to Gladwell Kirago. Good afternoon to my brother Paul Onyango, and our viewers who are watching us live from Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa, and the rest of the globe. Dr. Matsanga, it is my pleasure to be on the African Showdown this Sunday afternoon.
This is indeed an African showdown. Don't hold any word behind. The figures in Kenya show that the Jubilee Party has the highest number of aspirants. Hello. What? This is very interesting figures, and this is something that we are going to look at right now before we touch the topic of how the deputy president wanted to kill the president. Isn't it? Can we as Africans say literally that? Because we don't know. When the president said he wanted to wipe him out, the word is wanted me out. What is this wanted me out? How did he want him out? Out of where? Of space? Of State House? Of his house? Or Parliament? We are going to see. It is going to be hot on the bench. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, my friend Sean Wesonga. Thank you. Now, across the continent of Africa again, we have one son of soil, Paul Onyango. Paul Onyango, good afternoon, my brother.
Good afternoon, Dr.
Yes.
I'm live. I'm at a different location today.
That is very good. You are improving the situation that we are going. Yes.
I'm in Nyayo Stadium. I've just taken some time off. Good afternoon, viewers. Good afternoon, co-panelists. Good afternoon, those who are online.
Okay, thank you very much. Viewers, first of all, let me make it clear. The standard says, headline, Uhuru says yesterday in State House, telling his leaders from his clan of Omofia, Uhuru says Ruto wanted to kill him, to finish him, to wipe him out. Wanted me out. I mean, this is the headline, and I think the editorial people can push it there. There you are. Oh my God. What is happening in Africa? A deputy wants to finish. I'm going to introduce this debate tomorrow. And I want it. Tomorrow, don't forget Matsanga's space on Twitter. It is going to be hot. It is going to be hot. Matsanga's space. Twitter space. It is hot. Thousands and hundreds of thousands will be there. I want to discuss, does Africa need the posts of deputy president and the vice president? Do we have enough money to pay these bankrupt guys who go on killing other people, plotting to kill the presidents? That is the question I have asked. That is on the Standard newspaper. On another headline, Raila storms ANC tough, nets defectors. I don't know whether Miriam has got the papers. She's very calm at this. Some of the things are paining me when I look at this topic which I've been talking about. I don't know whether Miriam has any papers.
I do.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. So you've read the main headline on the Sunday Nation. That is Raila's double-edged sword. With over 25 political parties supporting his presidential bid, Mr. Odinga is guaranteed mammoth voter mobilization in his fifth stab at the country's top seat compared to his rival DP Ruto, but the many Azimio candidates could also split the vote. That is on page 4. And then powerful gatekeepers for political bigwigs. You'll find the story on page 17. Uhuru seeks Mount Kenya elders help. That is on page 5. And gear up for annual COVID immunization. That is on page 22. The Sunday Standard, the main headline, Uhuru, Ruto wanted me out. In a men-only session, President Kenyatta tells Mount Kenya elders why he dropped his deputy, reveals the not-so-good plans the DP had against him, and why the region must resist his candidacy. The story is on page 10. And Kimunya opens up on betrayal, tough lessons. That is on page 8 and 9. Raila storms ANC tough, nets defectors. That is on page 11 on the Sunday Nation, and that is what we have. And of course, up there we do have the opinions of different people, from Bishop David Ogide, Isaac Kalua, and Koki Muli there writing their opinions, as well as on the Sunday Nation too. So that is what we have on the front pages of the two leading papers today.
Thank you very much, my panel, Miriam, Gladwell, Sean, and poll across. Let me begin with poll in Nyayo Stadium. I hope you are watching a match between Gor Mahia and AFC. I hope so. Is it the derby today? Paul, tell us what have you picked from this headline where President Uhuru Kenyatta says his deputy wanted to wipe him out.
Thank you, Dr. Long before this headline, I think sometimes back I read an excerpt from one of the dailies in UK, talked about that the intelligence had, the UK intelligence had given the president some hint about some people are planning to do away with him. That was when the president visited the lakeside town. So there was some the Mossad were in Uganda. They were trying to trace some terrorism activities right from Gaza. Then there was a lead cell that was formed within Uganda territory and also in the Congo. I read that when I read the excerpts, it was talking about the deputy president had already planned to take away the president's life through an coup means. The paper also talked about Ruto's link with another man in Sudan related to Bashir. It found when Bashir already had been overthrown. So it's not strange we know the character of the deputy president. By the way, he has been talking. One thing he told us that somebody cannot steal his votes. He does not look like somebody that he's not a man that somebody can steal his votes. So him being a deputy president does not wield much power over state machinery. But given that he was able to talk like that, it seems that he had some other plans with him. So it is a bit threatening when we look at what happened in other countries, especially in Africa, where there is a division between the president and the deputy president. Especially, for example, like South Sudan, there's always a problem in between Salva Kiir and Riek Machar. When that government after the death of Garang, the government stayed for a few period of time with peace, but it later on turned out there was war. Still, there have been some negotiation which has been made, but still we find that peace has not been achieved fully.
Yes.
So we can learn as Kenyans, even from what the president told the elders. The president was talking from out of his heart. Many things, I think the way Mr. Uhuru has handled the matter, he has handled it with a lot of maturity, because had it been care was not taken, I think we could be fighting more than what has happened in Ethiopia or in other countries. So I think the president has managed to hold the country together by finding a peaceful or amicable way to handle the situation according to the intelligence report he got from the government, those who are handling intelligence, about the plan of the deputy president. So it sometimes does happen to some individuals, those who are hungry for power.
Yes.
Such kind of things to happen.
All right.
I think
yes.
I think there's a time there was a tape that before Ruto wing and the TNA wing, before they came together, before 2013, Mr. Ruto made a statement that the Kanjalinjin community has so many problems. There are so many problems that we are not. The only thing that they're waiting for is to take power, such that they're able to deal with the problems they have. I think if you can go back to that tape, and from what has happened,
we shall get the tape.
Yeah, we can conclude that something
Yes.
had already cooked in his mind before even the formation of that government.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
thank you. Because of time, you will come back later on when the tape is ready. You have raised key issues. The president, it is not us, it is the president himself who came up and said there is something which is very wrong. No Kenyan was even willing. Some of us, like me, I knew there was something wrong. And I've been saying it from 2015 when I saw the patterns of bad systems, bad influence, bad company. You know, we picked it. Some of us picked that type of intelligence. I am sorry, I have to say the truth here. It has been followed, and anybody who wants to check can find out. You know, when you talk about Mr. Harun Eyadin, Miriam, I'm coming to you, madam. This is a serious statement. We have been on this television station with you, and I've been saying, if we are not careful, the manner in which Ruto operates, the manner in which Ruto does his things, it is not very, you know, you cannot leave our president naked, because he could bump off the president and take over power. This is serious statement. So from the president, someone is trying to impeach, you know, impeach the president. And this thing came about 2015, before the elapse of the first term. I was in a house with Murathe, and we were told, we are told, and if people say they did not say it, the people, I was there, we are told that money was being collected, to pay MPs to topple the government by people who were corrupt people who had cases in court. This has been going on. And Murathe is my witness. For the first time, I went to his house. I've never been to his house before, after learning quite a lot of gymnastics. So Miriam, from your point of view, the headline is here. The elephant is in the house. The bombshell has been dropped. Rivondo came with a bombshell. People said Rivondo was a liar. Now Rivondo has been proved that he was right, that it is not a mere hearsay. There was a plot to take the president out. Taking him out, I don't know how you'll take it yourself. Just tell us how you received this type of news, Miriam. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I think this is very worrying, and I was reading this story earlier, and it was really like a bad movie. But for President Uhuru Kenyatta to stand in publishing this huge amount of people and to tell them this, of course, where there's smoke, there is fire. I don't think President Uhuru Kenyatta would just stand and make such statements if he didn't know where the truth lies. And so this is very worrying, because we've seen, as Paul Onyango there has cited, even cases in South Sudan and other countries that are not very stable. It is things like this that can plunge a country into very serious, a crisis and instability. So I'm shocked, by these revelations. And when you just read through, you realize, I think President Uhuru Kenyatta had trusted his deputy, especially for the first term. And then he realized his deputy was scheming, and he noted that after the primaries, getting ready for the 2017 elections, the way Ruto ensured that only the people that he wanted, in certain positions and in certain constituencies and in certain, places were the ones who were elected through the Jubilee ticket. So that was his initial plan. And when President Uhuru Kenyatta realized that the people who were loyal to him, especially from Mount Kenya, Ruto made sure that they're not given the Jubilee ticket, I think that is when President Uhuru Kenyatta, says something is not right. And this is also a part of the story that we have on the Standard today. And elders who attended the meeting told the Sunday Standard that the president said the conduct of Jubilee Party primaries in 2017 opened his eyes to a wider plot. So this deputy president, according to this story and according to what President Uhuru Kenyatta said yesterday, Ruto was staging himself. He was making sure that because apparently after that, he wanted to work with opposition leader Raila Odinga to topple, to impeach President Uhuru Kenyatta. For what reasons, we don't know. But apparently that is what he was gearing up to do. I think this is worrying and we need more investigation done. And we really, I think as Kenyans, we deserve to know the truth of what really is happening and what other plans were there, because this is a matter of national interest. And as Kenyans, and this being our president, I think we deserve to know more truth in regards to this story.
Thank you very much, Miriam. This is a matter of national importance. This is also a matter of African importance, East African regional importance. If there is instability in Kenya, Uganda will not survive that instability. Sudan, Somalia, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan. So we must all of us come down and say, who was this? Why is this guy? Miriam, to be honest, as I come to Gladwell to take a stab at this, the topic we have today is worrying. It is very worrying for you to hear that the people you have given votes, one wants to wipe out the other in order to take over power. This, let me tell you, the deputy president had malls in the State House. I'm not going to name the names here, but I have at least right now gathered some intelligence notes. He had malls. There were malls in the State House who were even telling the deputy president what type of tie the president was wearing, the shoes, the clothes. These are some of the signs that worried everybody.
Yes.
There were malls. If you are dealing with intelligence, you can see that some of these signs show you if there is someone wearing the clothes like your wife's dress, and you have a house girl in the house, and she goes to buy the same shoes like your wife. Song, I'm not saying you go and chase them. If you see the same dress, the same shoes, you must start, either you distance and take this girl away to give her money and the goods, because she's going to create you chaos.
Yes, and Dr. Matsanga, you are very correct. There was even a time the president really wondered how he would find the deputy president at a venue where he was going to grace an occasion, and he had not communicated with the deputy president that he's going to such a particular function. So we had people who are leaking this kind of information to the deputy president, to which, in my own perspective, I believe was a very, very serious security breach to the security of the head of state. And if you read about books on intelligence on how senior leaders across the globe were killed, or maybe many of them met their ultimate end, was through leaking of these intelligence reports. You know, the president, or maybe a senior leader in government of the caliber of the president, should not be having the intelligence of where he's eating, where he's going to hang out, or maybe where he's going to grace a certain private occasion, being leaked out to another third party. That could actually put the security of the head of state in jeopardy. And I believe, even when Livondo talked about that plot to kill the president, I believe that those were some of the preset conditions, because I believe with that, just that simple intelligence that is passed over to the deputy president, who is not a security expert, it could actually be able to be mishandled and could result into something serious. So, Dr. Matsanga, I really, really agree with you. And maybe just to mention to our viewers on the story that you talked about of money being collected back in the day, I believe you first mentioned about that story a bit, I believe early 2018, where some few individuals here in Nairobi were collecting money to Karen, and perhaps yourself and the Jubilee Vice Chair were able to call some of them and tell them that you are aware of whatever was happening, even though some denied. but it is there in the files, and those who want to maybe contest and maybe detest that can actually go and check with the relevant authorities. So I believe that this was a serious matter. If not well taken care of, we will be actually be talking the way of South Sudan or maybe any other fallen African country where the head of state got killed, and then before you know it, the country actually goes into a state of anarchy. So I think we are very, very right to think in that particular direction. And maybe just to add on it, when it comes to my thought of this particular headline, when you read our constitution, there are only 3 ways by which the president can actually be ousted from power. And number 1 is through maybe impeachment. Number 2 is through demise, dying. And number 3, I mean, is through incapacitation, where the head of state's mind is maybe perceived to be he's not perceived to be of sound mind. Then he can henceforth maybe cede power and let the deputy take over. So of these 3, I know we can exempt of either eliminating the president or impeaching the president just to ascend to power. And I know this is from his advisors. I saw one day a very disgusting message from David Lee answering a random question on Twitter, saying that if the deputy president wanted to ascend to power, then the easiest route was to kill his boss. And I know these are the kind of people who advise the deputy president. These are the people who are all over our television stations talking about the bottom approach. So it won't surprise me if they are the same people, perhaps who drew the same similarities of how the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi ascended to power through the death of the late Jomo Kenyatta, so that William Ruto could use a similar matrix. And therefore, Dr. Matsanga, today I'm a very, very happy man, because by one reason or another, their evil plans actually collapsed and fell on their feet. And therefore today, we can confidently say that Kenya was saved from the ruins that would have come with the leadership and the presidency of William Samoei Ruto. Okay. This was an plan from the beginning, and therefore, Dr. Matsanga, we need to condemn it. We need to stand with the president. Why doesn't the Kalenjin people, the people of the Rift, insult the deputy president? Why don't they insult the mother of the deputy president? But we have people from Mount Kenya who are not giving the president the respect that he deserves. We have people still who see when the president complains about his deputy as an excuse and maybe just a spectacle to maybe bring the former prime minister on board. We have to tell them that the president receives intelligence on a daily basis. He is briefed by the key agencies of this government, and he knows whatever happens in every and any corner of this country, Dr. Matsanga. I submit.
Thank you very much, viewers across the continent of Africa. This is Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting from the capital city of Kenya, Nairobi. Thank you very much. This topic is a topic that cannot be exhausted today. Here we are. But things are not moving in the right direction. Let's move away from that topic and come to another thing on the headline before we jump up to other topics. COVID-19. Miriam, last week, you and I told you that I'm one of the few people who do not lose my mask. I'm one of the few people who do not stop sanitizing. I think time has come now. Those watching me, wherever you are across the continent of Africa, put back your mask and get your sanitizer closer to your heart. Mr. COVID is not gone yet. The World Health Organization announced that this thing is not gone yet. The cold weather in Kenya is beginning in a few weeks. This thing is not gone yet. Don't lower your guard. COVID is still available around in the air. Don't take it for granted. I think the government has to reassess according to the hardening numbers and see whether they can help and tell people their masks. That is for me what I have seen. Very important to tell people on this can talk about. Any of you prepare your story. Miriam?
All right, Doc, and of course, as you rightly said, the story is on page 22 on the Sunday Nation, and scientists are considering an annual jab for sustained protection against COVID-19 as the immunity provided by vaccines wanes with time. About 8 million Kenyans have been fully vaccinated, with over 274,000 getting their booster shots months after their primary vaccination. The booster shots are given because of the waned immunity that this is new revelation from the scientists who have been working tirelessly to try to understand this virus. And so now they're saying that there's a probability that we shall be getting our COVID-19 shots yearly, annually, because even the ones that we've gotten over time, it might not be effective to protect us effectively against COVID-19. So this is something that will be considered, and maybe now it will be part of the things that will be required to have even when you're traveling across the world, to make sure that you have your COVID-19 jab. So they're saying COVID is not going anywhere. So these are just some of the ways that the world will have to adapt and adjust living around and within a COVID-19.
Thank you very much, Miriam. That is a story that is going to continue to make headlines. And one other thing that has struck me before I come to Gladwell, prepare your story, what you have heard. There are so many. You might have seen it online. There are 7 more court battles for Ruto before he ascends to power. That is by Wamutata and other Kenyans who are doubting the credibility of the deputy president. 7 cases that must be thrown out or terminated before he gets his nomination and goes for presidential slot, including, don't forget, the ICC. Medium, the ICC concluded submissions. And many people in Kenya, some of them who might have seen schools outside the school compound but not gone inside, they say the case is closed. You heard everybody on Twitter was saying closed. The deputy president is now as one. The case is closed. First of all, let me tell you people, this case is not about the deputy president. This case is about tampering under Article 70 of the Roma Statute. Under Article 70 of the Roma Statute, tampering with a witness, bribing witnesses, obstruction of justice, perversion of course of justice, corruption, coaching of witnesses, procurement of witnesses. Those cases bring you down to court, to jail. Article 70 is one of the most obnoxious articles in the ICC statute, which is not easily defeated. They don't need full-scale proof. They need to corroborate whether you actually influenced a witness to tamper, or you tampered with a witness to persuade him not to do what the court, Ruto. It's not about Ruto and Sang versus the chief prosecutor. This case is about Paulo Gicheru as another different man versus the court of justice of International Criminal Court under Article 70, where Gicheru influenced, coached, recruited, tampered, wrote statements, perverted the course of justice. That is what he is standing for. It is not Ruto. It is not anybody else. So let's get it very clear. Those in Kenya who are saying, oh, whenever you write about this case, they say Ruto. Nobody is in. If the chief prosecutor decides, or the deputy decides later on to charge William Ruto with offenses, because he has been mentioned 870 times. 870 times on camera and outside, inside the camera off camera for him having been the person, the boss. So the court would want to know who is this boss. That is the way, the explanation in short. It is not Ruto's case, it is Gicheru's case. Gicheru has to prove that he did not see any of those guys. If they have enough evidence, they will nail Gicheru, fine him, or imprison him for 5 good years, or both. He pays 200,000 euros and go to prison, or whatever they will decide. It's not a case that the people in Kenya go on playing about and talking about cheaply. So he has 7 cases. I don't know how he'll swim about them. My dear Gladwell. Yes, Miriam.
Sorry, before Gladwell come in, and I think you've raised really important points there. But as much as it's not about Ruto, but it really is about Ruto, because assuming, the case goes the other way and lawyer Gicheru is found guilty, that means that some of the prosecutor's witnesses that were present in that case, whatever it is that they're saying is found to be true. That means there's a possibility of reviving Ruto's case because they are part of the witnesses in Ruto's case. So it's not about Ruto, but it is about Ruto at the end of the day.
Yes, Miriam, I just want to, yes, I agree with you on that it is not directly about Ruto. But the very fact that every witness who was supposed to have been tampered with, was mentioning that Ruto or someone was providing money. So the evidence there is, who is this person? No normal judge in the world would leave the man who has been mentioned by 800 times in a court, that this man, surely nobody is going to say no. That the judge would like to see this Mr. Ruto. And you are right. You have a point there. A great point. Thank you. But in terms of how to revive the case, if Gicheru is sentenced and the Gicheru is convicted, Mr. Ruto then, the chief prosecutor and the office of the prosecutor will now, is not even the chief prosecutor because he has been told not to touch this case. Because he was the lawyer of Ruto who said there were no fixing of witnesses. So if they prove there will be collateral damage, even the chief prosecutor of International Criminal Court has to resign. Because he also told a lie that there were no witnesses that were fixed. So, Miriam, there is a lot of chaos coming here, which people are not seeing. They are busy on campaign. They don't know what is going on. How this man arrived with his phone and landed himself in The Hague. If I were Ruto, I would sit down and think twice, not to go on bumping everybody and harassing everybody. Because Ruto soon might need a lot of help. Imagine the case goes against Gicheru, as it would be, it looks, it would be, it's smelling. And then they issue a warrant of arrest. And you don't like the president. What will the president do to you? Have you looked at, can we now start looking at that scenario? The president will quickly facilitate your departure. You go and sort your mess. So it is not the mess, it's an international warrant looking for you. You can't be on the ballot. And the people we don't know when. We could be voting when you are going to be arrested on the same. So that there are so many complications and implications that if I were Ruto, I would not go on chest bumping. Sit down and tell your wife. The other one, we went through very well. But this one, Mama, we don't know. We don't know. Because I'm told there are videos there, Miriam. Some of them, when they were pulling out money, some of the videos are not very interesting. That's all I can tell you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
It's the same case with Pierre Bemba. Are they
Yes,
similar?
yes.
Somehow similar.
It's very similar. Pierre Bemba ended up in court with the lawyer of Pierre Bemba. Pierre Bemba was locked up. They all served the sentence in the same, eating the same ugali or rice in the Hague. So this is not a case. The Article 70 is not a joke. I'm telling you frankly, as a person who has gone through it, who has been on ICC cases since 2005. Remember, the first case of Uganda was 2005. And ladies and gentlemen, when I'm talking from an experience. I suffered the first case of Uganda, where 5 commanders of the Lord Resistance Army were indicted, and I had to be the go-between between the world and them as a chief negotiator and a peace negotiator in the Juba peace talks, and the leader of a delegation, because they could not now come. I was a lawyer in the middle, and the UN asked me to mediate. I know what ICC is. Article 70 is dangerous. Article 70 can create chaos, and this article could bring down the chief prosecutor Karim Khan to jail, because he also committed perjury by telling lies at that time he knew. Thanks God, no witness so far has said at one point Karim Khan was also present, because it could also make his call to come and say, were you there or not? So to me, I see no judge who will leave this case with Mutata saying there are 7 cases to go. Ruto still has a lot, an uphill task to sort his mess. So he should mend his fences, respect people who might help him again to get out of this ICC. Gladwell.
Thank you, Daktari. And let me start my remarks by saying politics is a dirty game. It's high time calling a spade a spade. They're not a fork. Let me go back to the issue that you discussed when on the impeachment. The president let the cat out of the bag in front of very crucial leaders from Mount Kenya. Daktari called Kiama. I don't know if you had such a thing, Kiama. Those are leaders who run the leaders from Mount Kenya. And when the president went and said whatever he said, that means he was confident and he was speaking the truth. The reason being, you don't lie in front of those leaders. Most are prophets, most are for skills, and most knows most of the things. There was a statement that the Madhyoya MP Peter Kimari said that the deputy president attempted to strike a power deal with the ODM leader to impeach the president. And also Raphael Tuju has been saying that Ruto is also unfit for the government. And what Ruto also wanted to do, he wanted to make the country and Uhuru's government ungovernable. So I think when the president switched high now that he needed somebody to listen to him, the president could not come to us Kenyans first. He went to where the people could guide him, that is to the leader. Kiama in the Kikuyu region plays a big part in our community and in our region, and have said you can't lie in front of the leader.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kiama is a leader in the region, and he is
Kiama is the coming
is the chairman. Sorry,
yes.
Is the chairman of Jubilee Party, isn't it?
No, the elders.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the elder for the Kikuyu Gamer group. So it is a serious matter, as you say, Miriam. Thank you very much for correction. It's a very serious matter that if Kenyans play about with it without resolving it, without finding the root cause, the DCI now has to investigate and bring out, was there an impeachment decision? Was there an impeachment that was aborted? It has to bring in the DCI and other agencies. Is there, you need a commission of inquiry. You need a short commission of inquiry to tell Kenyans if the deputy president was indeed committing these sins, because he's going to be, he could be in the future, he could be the same leader, and then he could, you know, turn around and say, I was victimized. So the air must be cleared so that we move on when we know the matter is sealed and done. Yes, Miriam.
Yes, indeed. And I think maybe that's why the DP, if we go with this story, the DP is very angry, you know, at the president and maybe the ODM leader, Raila Odinga, for them coming together, the handshake that he's been criticizing and he's been demonizing, because he wanted to have the same, but the intention was different. The kind of coming together he wanted to have, according to this story with opposition leader, was different. So President Kenyatta beat him to it. And now I think, and the outcome was different from whatever the intention he wanted. So I think that explains a lot, the kind of anger we've seen coming from the deputy president, you know, going by this story.
Thank you very much. And the president has not kept quiet. There are more leaders coming to the State House. And because this other gentleman is also already howling people to State House. And it looks like, if you look at the story, there's now the women leaders and the elected leaders, women, coming. And then we have Churi Cheke Council, the Meru. Then we have all elected leaders in Meru, Embu, Tarakaniti, those counties, they are coming. And the 3 counties at State House, those are going to come in this week. So it is an intensified way of finding a way home to find a solution to this so-called, you know, serious Ruto saga. It is actually Ruto saga. It's a very serious matter where they said the accusation is not simple. It must be investigated. Yes, Wesonga, before, Paul, before I come to Wesonga to summarize it for us, we have also seen the president of Azimio, or Azimio flag bearer,
Yes.
was in Western Kenya harvesting. What's your comment?
It is natural.
Yes, what's your comment? It's natural. It's harvesting. It's time for harvesting.
It was a natural harvest.
It's a natural harvest. Mudavadi ran away and left the millet in the field. So Raila Odinga is harvesting in the Western. Several leaders have joined Azimio, defected from Mudavadi. I think, what will Mudavadi put on table, even if he's given the running mate slot?
Okay, one thing, the Western Kenya politics is a bit fluid after the formation of the multi-party elections, the multi-party democracy since 1992. There have been complexes about the uniting the community. They have been always divided along certain community. I don't know how to call it, but Wasonga can understand that bit of it. It comes from that area.
Okay.
It is the sub-tribes in Western Kenya. You feel like that the Maragolis vote in a certain way, Bukusus in a certain way, and the rest of the Luyas also. I think it is sub-tribal politics.
And the Tachoni,
yes.
asking me, Paulo, you should have asked me. I am the editor in the whole Luya. There is Tachoni, there is Kabaras, the Kabaras, there are the Maragori, there is Tiriki, there is Busia, the Nini Busia, there is the Funyula. Then we have in Trans Nzoia, we have the Bukusu. And these are serious. Then we have the Bukusu, and then we have a lot of Samias who went to Trans Nzoia and got land there, settled there. So we have quite, ask me, I'm an elder in that whole region of mine. It expands. They come from my home area in the mountains of Elgon, of the other side, where the sunshine comes from, where Masaba, who is our grand father, who had several wives, and one of the wives was Masai, which you see the Masai here, you know, and it after generations, Masai used to control the whole of that area up to the mountain and the rivers in Zoya and Mumias, those areas. Before Wanga, the kingdom of Wanga arrived in Mumia, who was actually settled forcefully there, around there, and put there to stay there. So I know this, the Masaba tree. I will tell you about it on another time. Thank you very much. Wesonga, your comments on this, plus don't forget this one. Ruto claims Jubilee has used 1 billion, but he said he had money. Why is he complaining now? Did he also use 1 billion to buy other people? Why does he think that people are buying the, members to come back to their party? Why?
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga David. And of course, there is a Jamaican proverb that says that a thief feels so jealous when he sees another man with a long back. So he thinks that perhaps this man, the other man, is always maybe also a thief and is actually going to take whichever that belongs to him. I believe whatever William Ruto was talking about is the same story that Dennis Itumbi has been propagating on social media. And I cannot maybe comprehend it beyond maybe imagining that these are just mere assertions and speculation from the deputy president, you know, saying that the government has spent an outrageous 1 billion to buy politicians. Then, you know, that is not true. That is absolute falsehood. Why would a government give a politician 150 million, a politician who wants to buy for an MP? Whereas we know for an MP, you actually require like 10 million to 15 million perhaps to be able to campaign and win a seat. Then why would the government give 150 million, 10 times whatever they require to win an election? So to me, I think William Ruto is actually just seeing that he's going to lose this particular election. And like the British say, a drowning man will always clutch at straws. And therefore, he has to get an excuse for losing these elections to Azimio la Umoja. Because like you said, Dr. Matsanga, if it comes to buying people, he can also afford to buy people. We thought he had money because that is what the wife, Mama Rachel Ruto, told us the other day, that he has money, he will give money, and he will continue giving money until he has none left for him. So let him also buy if he feels that Jubilee government, the Jubilee party is buying aspirants. And maybe just to take our viewers back in time, in 2015 up to 2018, when we had the handshake, William Ruto, and even until recently, rather, William Ruto was actually the Mr. Moneybag of the Kenyan politics. Politicians will go to his current home, and MPs will be given 250,000 for every weekend. They will be given choppers to move around the country, insult the president, sabotage the Big Four agenda, and talk all kind of nonsense about the people who are competing against William Ruto. So today that he's not able to afford the same maybe amount of money, or maybe he's not able to match the energy that is in Azimio la Umoja and the Jubilee party, then he has to get a spectacle. He has to get an object where he will apportion blame and say that, look, they are doing this against me, so that when he loses in the August poll, he has some way of saving face. So to me, Dr. Matsanga, I don't take it quite much of something, but I see it as an excuse to actually save face when he loses the elections. And we are more concerned about the numbers, you know, in any elections, because victory only come through numbers, and you cannot win any particular seat unless you have numbers. And I've just seen the data that you've posted that maybe gives us the clear indication of maybe how many aspirants were able to pay nomination fees to various political parties. And you can see clearly that Jubilee Party has double as much aspirants as what UDA has. That tells you that UDA is a party only popular in Rift Valley and some parts of central part of the country. And therefore, it is not a national party. This is a regional party where the majority of this of its aspirants actually come from the Rift Valley. So to me, I think it will be very unfair to actually maybe even compare Jubilee Party and UDA. And it is in these maybe delusions that William Ruto is having of maybe UDA being larger than life, that he thinks that Jubilee Party cannot be able to master such kind of support and number of aspirants across the country. These guys thought that the Jubilee Party was dead, and when the Jubilee Party bounced back after the president having done work in relation to his legacy, they were actually shocked. And right now, I believe they cannot even be able to purpose with the Jubilee Party activities, grassroots activities more in particular, and there's Miola Umoja campaigns across the country. And I believe, Dr. Matsanga, once President Uhuru Kenyatta now hits the campaign trail, UDA will be reduced to a village party, and I really, really doubt if it will be able even to garner more than 100 MPs in both Senate and the National Assembly. So therefore, Dr. Matsanga, I believe the Swahili say that Mchagua Jembe Sun Kulima. So William Ruto should not tell us that the Jubilee Party is buying aspirants and is dishing out money. Why can't he also do the same? At the end of the day, it is only the winners that will actually be tallied and announced. Anyone who performs below that, we will not want to know maybe anything about them. And therefore, William Ruto should know the rules of the game better than anyone else. I submit, Dr. Matsanga.
Thank you very much. Our viewers, I think we have come to a conclusion on the matters of the president crying out to say, by saying William Ruto wanted to wipe him out or wanted him out. This word wanted me out. He say it has several meanings, and I believe Kenyans can take stock of what next, what else, what happens. You need a country united. You need a country left in unity of purpose. Is Kenya going towards that direction? When the president suggested the BBI, people did not want. When I suggested redemption from 2015, I'm one of the few people who had seen this is the best country in East Africa. I'm not a Kenyan, but it's the best country in East Africa, where people are hospitable, where people welcome everybody across the world who come to Kenya. A best country that we need to unite. We need to put together as a unity of purpose. But the events of leading to elections always in Kenya leaves this country torn to pieces. People are torn between the left, they want, those who want, and those whom they don't want. There's no unity of purpose in this circle. There's no unity of purpose here. We seem to be going towards from worse to the worst. If this continues, I don't know what next will happen to our country, but it must be resolved. The DCI and other agencies must go deeper to find out if there was any motion, and if that motion was there, the people who were tabling it, what were their intentions? And that's a case we can build on. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Let's take a stock. And I want our studios to play for us a conflict and a clip from the conflict of Sudan. Even if it is Riek Machar, when I interviewed Riek Machar, can I see that clip? As we take a break, Let's take a break and you play that break and I come back. Viewers, don't go away. We want to discuss Africa now and the region. Africa and the region. We are about to be there, so don't worry. We are moving at a nice speed. We shall finish at exactly 4 o'clock. Thank you. Let's play. Since the war broke out in South Sudan in 2013, a lot of experiments or peace process have been brought in place. The first experiment collapsed with 2 armies going at each other. The peace process died. The second peace process came. We managed to go to get what we have got right now. There is a peace process, a semblance of peace holding. How long it will hold, we just don't know. But it's upon the people of South Sudan and international community to help the people of Sudan to pump in resources needed to sustain the peace process, which is so fragile that it could actually break. And once it breaks, it makes matters worse for the region. South Sudan remains a sick child of Africa. A sick child in the sense that senseless killings have taken place. Over 380,000 people are not traceable. Accountability has been overshadowed by political machinations. How long can this take on? How long can this stay? How long can this happen? And how shall we control it? How do we bring it to a conclusion? A peaceful, stable South Sudan. My proposals range from funding the government to sustain the projects of peace process that we agreed, changing the peace model by bringing the UN special envoy in the region, fully equipped, logistically equipped, supplied, mandated to keep law and order and have sustained the peace process, the ceasefires that are there. If that can be done, South Sudan will be stable. If that stability does not come, then it is up to the world to decide another method beyond what they have done so far. And that method is accountability through the courts that will deter any further occurrences of a war. Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome back again. This is Punchline Africa Television. We are in the second segment of our show, Africa Showdown. And in this segment, we are going to look at a country in the Great Lakes region, a country that has been under siege by rebel militias from both the government and from the other opposition groups. South Sudan has suffered enormously. South Sudan is one of the new countries in the African Union register. But South Sudan has not seen the peace since 2013 or 2012. The war broke up. It took out so many people. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people were killed. A peace process was brokered. Another peace process brought in some resemblance of peace. The two warring generals went back to it again and started fighting. The fighting has continued up to today. IGAD and other member states tried to broker a peace process, and the UN and the African Union, European Union, the Pope. We have gone everywhere on planet Earth except the only person left that we have not asked the questions. Why? Why South Sudan? Why South Sudan? Why should the people, the women, the children suffer in South Sudan? The only person we have not asked is the Almighty God. But we have gone to the Pope. The Pope is coming to Africa specifically to visit DRC, Congo, and South Sudan, Juba. All of us will fly in there to go and meet. But what has happened? What has gone wrong? What makes the peace process in South Sudan not workable? Is it the way it was framed? Is it the way it was arranged? Have we gone for political power and forgotten accountability power? Any agreement in the world needs accountability power, needs accountability. A peace process without accountability clause, without us starting with accountability. I am a conflict resolution expert. The South Sudan conflict, nobody has accounted for over 384,000 people who perished. Believe me or not, you can sing up to Jerusalem. You can sing towards the heaven, hell, as long as you have not accounted, as long as you have not put an agenda number 5 of accountability. That the people come and say, yes, I was responsible, I am sorry. We shall not have peace in South Sudan. I speak to those listening and those not listening. I speak to those leaders in South Sudan. Yesterday, Dr. Riek Machar sent me a letter that indicates that his commanders are being poached, are being paid money, poached to cross over, which means there is a new war in forming. I have always cried for this country, because this country brought peace in my own country. This country sat us down. The leaders here went together with me in the forests and the bushes of Garamba Park to look for peace for my country, Uganda. The leaders who have died, including Jacob Olanya, Chief Justice Ndolo, the late Speaker Jacob Olanya, Nobati Mao, Bishop Odama, Bishop Chama, the paramount chief of all of us, the Emramron of Teso, Matsanga. We were there. We went to look for peace in the bushes. We got the peace for our country. We wanted that peace to prevail in the entire region. But South Sudan pains us. If South Sudan is going to have instability, the neighboring countries, northern Kenya, northeastern, western Kenya, northern Uganda, Congo Democratic Republic will have chaos. Central Africa will never be the same. Is it time for people to calm down and say, what did we do wrong? Did we do the right peace process in South Sudan? Let me bring in my panel again. Miriam, I'll start with you. If you have any background information regarding South Sudan, Miriam.
All right, Doc, thank you so much. Yes, indeed. And I just have the latest news on top of what you've just shared with us. The South Sudan's People Defense Force is appealing to the international community, eminent persons and religious leaders to intervene to stop the ongoing fresh fighting in the Upper Nile state. The SSPDF call comes following reports of clashes between SPLA-IO and SSPDF in Maywood County, Upper Nile state on Thursday morning. The SSPDF spokesperson, Major General Louis Ruankong, has accused the SPLA-IO forces of attacking their position in Maywood County. And just on Tuesday last week, the SPLM and SPLM-IO Political Bureau approved the suspension of its participation in the security mechanisms meeting. The decision came after the SPLA-IO accused SSPDF of carrying what it calls unprovoked attacks on its military bases, including the cantonment sites and the Unified Forces Training Center. So that is a story I think I also did in the course of the week over the latest crisis, as there was a security committee that all these parties usually meet and discuss the way forward in the country. But the SPLA-IO, which is Dr. Riek Machar's side, walked out of that meeting, was it on Monday, because they're saying their soldiers are being attacked on their cantonment centers. You know, cantonment centers, every soldier allied to certain stakeholder in the government, they've given specific, cantonment sites as they wait for the unification of the army. So they walked out of that very critical meeting, and we've seen even leaders of Troika coming out and saying this is not good. And now the peace is fragile. The religious leaders are airing their voices, and things are not seeming to go very well, especially in line with the revitalized peace agreement of 2018, where unifying these forces was one of the key articles that have failed to be implemented since then.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for that background. The Riek Machar walking out of the peace process, does it not worry you? Does it not worry East African states? Does it not worry Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, AU? Does it not worry the mediators? What is the problem here? Why can't we sit down and resolve this issue before more people walk out of this entire peace process? Wesonga.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga, David. And of course, for me, from where I sit, I've always perceived the problem in South Sudan as a leadership problem rather than a people's problem. Because if these two leaders, Dr. Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar, came together and were able to maybe iron out the contentious issues that are making their people fight one another, then we wouldn't be having this kind of a problem. But this push and pull has been there for quite a long time. At one point, the SPLM goes into government. At another time, it is out again. Right now, you can see we have two factions of the SPLM, one in government, one outside government. And, the divisions are coming up more and more again. And therefore, that is a problem with the leaders. Why will they even propose that they have so many leadership positions so that they accommodate every leader on the table? Because the problem is not the problem with the people of South Sudan. The problem is with the leadership of the South Sudan. And if the leaders cannot solve the problem that is at hand, then the people of South Sudan will continue suffering. That is why you saw the other day when these two leaders were meeting the Pope in Rome. Actually, the Pope kissed their legs, showing them that, humility has to start with you as leaders. You have to be the people at the forefront. You have to put your interests behind yourselves and focus on the people of South Sudan, the poor people who are being killed on a daily basis through these wars, the people who are being displaced, and the people who are losing their property through the mayhem that has been outstanding in South Sudan for all those years. And Dr. Matsanga, I believe the day that these leaders will decide that enough is enough, and we want to come on the table and negotiate and be able to focus on the progress of the Republic of South Sudan, then that is the day that this conflict will end. But however, be as it may, I believe, Dr. Matsanga, this conflict cannot end because it also has an economic benefit on it, because these people are fighting over the resources that are in that particular country, and we have people who are the beneficiaries of this war. And therefore, with all that in mind, the oil wealth and all other natural resources that are in South Sudan, we cannot be able to actually talk about peace without actually also talking about how these resources are going to be shared among the people of South Sudan, who is going to be extracting them and who is going to be processing them and who is going to be getting the benefit of it. But as it is now, I believe all this chaos is because leaders, a few individuals in government and outside government are fighting for resources under over the expense of the people of South Sudan. So not unless the leadership mess in South Sudan is sorted, we shall not achieve long-standing peace that has been elusive for so many years. So to me, I believe, Dr. Matsanga, that we need a rearrangement of South Sudan. We need to restructure the leadership structure of South Sudan and be able, if it is possible, let the people of South Sudan bring on board other progressive leaders. For God's sake, all these leaders who have been there since they got independence back in 2010 are the same leaders, are the same reason why they are fighting today. Why can't the scholars of South Sudan, who are broad people, who have the interests of the country at heart, come back and be able to spearhead a new beginning in leadership and be able to do away with this old crop of leadership, which has actually cost South Sudan more than any other leadership since the independence. So I believe, Dr. Matsanga, it is a leadership problem, and not unless we solve it from that particular angle, not unless we restructure and rearrange South Sudan, these problems are going to be there so long as these leaders are still alive and at the helm of leadership of the people of South Sudan, Dr. Matsanga. I submit.
Thank you very much, viewers. It is indeed what you have said raises quite a number of questions. But there's one cardinal thing that remains unanswered. Why have the people not done the proper peace process? Paul Onyango, your comments.
Yes. My comment, I remember last time when Jeff Koinange interviewed Salva Kiir, when the thing, I don't know whether they were celebrating the independence. Salva Kiir lamented about Nairobi and Addis Ababa. Nairobi cheated him, lured him into signing an agreement. Later on, sanctions were put on him. Nairobi cheated him that they're going to help him look into it. Nothing happened. The same thing is said. Abiy advised him to have a talk with his opponent. So the advice Abiy gave him is the same Abiy, the same problem Abiy got into. So one aspect about South Sudan is that they have never had any elections. A constitutional election, since they gained the independence, they have never had any elections that would receive and not recycle leaders the way they have been doing it. It's not possible to achieve peace when there is no an election in the country. So one good aspect that the IGAD countries need to do is to ensure that there is an election in that country, such that we can have new leaders coming in. The ones that the ballot has rejected remain outside. We cannot be talking peace, yet the constitution of that country has never been followed by those who are in power. And I do not know why Salva Kiir does not want to go to elections. Is he benefiting from the oil? Does it mean somebody is keeping him in power from outside? That's why he does not want elections. He wants to bring all the time. Those are the fundamental questions we need to ask ourselves. It is not a matter Salva Kiir must be in power. South Sudan will continue. So it is time that Salva Kiir needs to allow election to continue or to happen in that country such that we can have new leaders. That's my take, Daktari.
Thank you very much, comrade. Gladwell,
Yes, sir.
you are a lady. You're a
Yes,
woman.
sir.
Imagine of the women who have been at the war front running for almost 9 years now. They have been running from one militia to another militia, back here, hunger, disease, poverty, no education for the children. Are we Africans? Are we in Africa or we are in planet Mars?
I think, Daktari, we got a problem in Africa, starting from Kenya, and I think it's high time we need to go down on our knees, at the same time raise our voice. Because when a government is corrupt and a country is in chaos, there is no peace. And on this case of Sudan, South Sudan, we can see it has also the conflict has led to reduction of harvests, hence lack of food to the citizens there. That means also poaching and cattle thefts will also be a higher case rise in South Sudan, and an economic crisis due to the drop in oil prices and COVID-19, which has also contributed to the country being the country still not in a good shape. So I think we need to raise our voice. They need to raise their voice too, and they need also to get a better way of tackling their issues.
Thank you very much. What about the plight? What about the plight of the children and the women?
It's sad, I being a woman, seeing my fellow woman on the forefront, fighting for the beloved country. Daktari, as I've said, we get a nation that is corrupt and the leaders are also weak in governance. Everybody, inclusive of the children, suffer. I've seen a clip whereby the children are crying for food. Others, you can see the bones and the kettles dying, the women crying. And the men, they got nothing they can do because the situation is worse, the crises are worse. The government still, it is also weak. And we can see there's no peace and there's no food. The country definitely suffered, it has been a bad shape.
Thank you very much.
Before Daniel comes in, I think there's a point there that Paul made earlier that has to do with elections, because we know South Sudan was supposed to have its elections this year,
yes,
but it was supposed to, because they said they did not have the money. So, and then you bring in the aspect of what Gladwell just said of corruption. We know South Sudan is the second most corrupt country in the world. Somalia is the first, and then South Sudan. That is because of the chaos and the lack of structures and accountability structures that exist in the country because of the conflict. So obviously people are benefiting and they want to continue doing business in that manner. And these elections cannot happen until South Sudan is stable. That is the caveat. So I think there is something that is being done intentionally. Because why is this happening when the country is supposed to be readying itself for next year's election? They say they pushed it to next year. So they're supposed to be having structures in place, seeing how they can register their people, to vote, which I don't understand how they're going to do, because a lot of South Sudanese are in the refugee camp. So if I'm sitting in a refugee camp, the last thing I want to hear is you coming to tell me I need to vote. You need to tell me how I need to get back to my house and how you're going to ensure I'm safe in that house. And so I think this is very intentional, and what you're seeing, especially at this time, they do not want the leadership in South Sudan, the status quo, do not want an election to take place. And I think this could be the core of the renewed and intensified violence we've seen now, and even between the forces, which we know, will continue, fueling the instability that we've seen in South Sudan so far.
Thank you very much, Miriam. Daniel had already finished his point. You have brought something about elections, Miriam. Do you think there is somebody pulling strings? And I ask this question directed to Miriam. Are there people pulling strings that South Sudan remains in the Quagmire state? without proper elections. Because
Absolutely.
yeah, we see the same strings being pulled in Somalia. It is important that the international community and the UN comes up and say, we want elections on this day. But the government of South Sudan, nobody has thought of when can this country have elections so that the people talk. Which goes
The US,
yes.
the Troika countries, even this morning I was reading a story on BBC as the US gave an additional, is it 15 billion worth of humanitarian aid to South Sudan. We know that the US is the country, the first country, you know, of the countries that are helping South Sudan. It is the first in terms of providing aid and all that. So they've been raising these concerns, even the renewed conflict. And so, Doc, absolutely, there is somebody, South Sudan and Somalia. Somalia is the most corrupt country in the world, followed by South Sudan. It is not a coincidence. The monies that the South Sudan is making from its own oil and other things, they can't account for that, as Somalia as well. So the corruption there is because of there's no structures, and for people who are benefiting from this chaos, they will continue making sure that these two countries do not have structures in place. It's no wonder Somalia, they keep pushing the dates of election. I can't even keep up. I don't know. The next date was supposed to be this month. That did not happen. So they've kept changing the goalposts because they do not want election in that country. The same way, the same people, it appears, do not want elections in South Sudan. And the leadership in South Sudan in this case has to do with it. And also the leadership in Somalia. They know what they're doing.
Miriam, I think I will take you a step further. We have about 9-10 minutes. Let me take you and tell you this, and let other people listening to this program. The truth is, there is one most important thing, and that the leaders in East Africa, including Kenya and His Excellency, President Uhuru Kenyatta and other administration and President Museveni, who are the key main brokers of peace in South Sudan. Your Excellencies, a country, an agreement without accountability, an agreement, and I repeat, let IGAD listen to me. You can call this, you can call it a bluff if you want. But if you are going to start any peace negotiation without accountability, and Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka is the envoy, listen to us, listen to me, and take my lips very seriously. That what has killed South Sudan peace process is the lack of accountability to put their measures, to put their deterrent measures that will make the country and the people not to go back to war. One of the deterrent measures to put in South Sudan is a tribunal to find out how many people were killed, who killed them. Are those people coming to say, we are sorry? It looks like most people in South Sudan have not said we are sorry. That's why, Miriam, you see they don't want to go to elections. You see they don't want to share anything. You see them buying the other commanders. You see the commanders running away to the government, seeking protection from such a tribunal. Until the world creates a United Nations hybrid tribunal, similar to that of Yugoslavia, similar to that of Sierra Leone, similar to that of other agencies of Rwanda, South Sudan will never have peace. Let me talk today. Because if I don't talk, Africa will not talk. Let me add my voice. The people of Africa need a hybrid tribunal that will work as a deterrent to stop war occurring in South Sudan again. We have had enough. People, the refugees, the South Sudanese are being killed across the continents of Africa, discriminated, beaten up, set on fire, because there is no accountability. There was no accountability. You cannot create a peace agreement by arranging political seats without creating accountability. There are so many people in South Sudan who don't know their parents, where they went, their brothers, their sisters, their mothers, their uncles, how they were killed. Until we create that deterrent, South Sudan will fall back. Your Excellencies, President Uhuru Kenyatta, listen to me. I started conflict resolution. Hallelujah. And the President Museveni, listen to me. We did this in Uganda between the Road Resistance Army and the Uganda government. Today there is peace in Uganda. Today there is peace in northern Uganda because we did reconciliation. We did accountability, agenda number 5. The people who came to rape came and agreed. Those who killed arrived and agreed and said, yes, we killed. We forgave them. People returned home. Hundreds of thousands of troops, hundreds of thousands of kidnapped people. Those who were kidnapped, recruited, subjected to inhuman treatment, returned and joined normal life and the army, the police, the civil service, and others. So, Your Excellencies, on South Sudan, I want to raise a voice. I might be alone, but I suffer for this Africa. I might be without food, but I suffer for this Africa. I might speak for this Africa. I must speak for the women and the children who have been running in the battles in the tropics of South Sudan for more than 10 years now. I must speak. I must speak. I must speak until the world comes to my rescue. The people of South Sudan need a new direction. Let's help that UN come in and this time start afresh in a new direction of accountability. You will see there will be peace. But without accountability, let's call it a day. Let's sit here, let's enjoy. Let's drink the wines, the sodas, the waters for more than an hour. Is this the Africa we want? Is it the country that we want? Is this the nations that we want? Why, God? Why, God? Why, God? The Pope has done his best. Dr. Riek Machar, Dr. Salva Kiir, put your ego aside. Put your egos aside. Calm down and work for your people. People are perishing. Don't sit and watch. Africa is on its own. The people in Ukraine are more important now than Africa. The people of Ukraine are more important at the moment than COVID, because COVID has gone. Everybody doesn't talk about COVID now. But because Ukraine was attacked, there is a value. We in Africa don't have value. It looks we don't have value. Why has the UN put a lot of emphasis on Ukraine and left us Africans dying in the tropics south of Sudan up here? Why? Who has bewitched us? Who has killed us? who has destroyed this continent, who has killed Africa. Why we? Why Africa? Thank you very much, viewers. Your parting shots. Let me begin with Paul. Your parting shot. Make it 30 seconds.
Thank you, Dr. My parting shot is Africa, we need to give solutions that originate from Africa. We don't need people to come from outside Africa to give us solutions. Same way we had our own Kenyan solution, South Sudan should copy from us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gladwell. Your parting shot. If Gladwell is not there, we're Songa.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsanga David. And of course, on this one, I take the same view as you because you are an expert in conflict resolution. You have been in northern Uganda. You have been in the various parts of Africa as an activist and as well as a consultant on conflict resolution. And when it comes to South Sudan, yeah, there's no any other person who has been involved other than you, in terms of giving ideas, in giving the way forward, and even sometimes reaching out to the stakeholders who are involved in this particular conflict. And I'll say it has been a very long, bumpy journey for the people of South Sudan. So many people have lost their lives. So many people have lost their property. So many families have been separated in South Sudan. And to me, it is a very, very sad state of affairs because South Sudan is a very rich country, agriculturally, in resource, and also even in the culture that they embody as a people. And therefore, if there was to be peace in South Sudan, then we would see it grow and become an African giant in both social, economic, and political affairs in this particular continent. But sad enough, South Sudan has never known peace. South Sudan has never found time to discuss its own internal affairs and be able to strategize on how to be able to grow and advance its economy. So to me, I think it is high time for the leaders of South Sudan to come together and look at the bigger picture. Look at these children who are suffering inside South Sudan. Look at the people who are being displaced. Look at lives which are being lost when these factions fight one another, and say that enough is enough. And therefore, come on the table, extend hands towards each other, and have a handshake like we had here in Kenya, and say that let the bygones be bygones. Now, let us have a truth, justice, and reconciliation commission, which will be able to look into the atrocities of the past and do a retribution and be able to settle scores for the ravages that this war has caused to the people of South Sudan. And from there, we can be able to build a progressive country and be able to grow the influence of South Sudan across the region and in the continent and globally as well. So I think it is time they put aside their interests as leaders and focused on what can be able to build the lives of the South Sudanese people, other than the useless wrangles and fightings that is actually costing South Sudan both politically, socially, and economically. So I think, Dr. Matsanga, it would be only noble if they enact whatever you've been preaching here to be able to overcome the scenario and the war that has been long-lasting in South Sudan. And this is the redemption strategy. And I believe only through redemption, South Sudan will be able to achieve peace and stability in the coming days. Without that, we are still looking at another wrangles and counter wrangles coming up every now and then. I submit.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you for those comments, Paul. Gladwell, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Make your comment, final comment about any subject. South Sudan, Kenya, I know what is paining you most.
What is currently paining me most is to see our farmers suffer, and this is my plea to the government. They should start looking into our farmers, and more so, I think we need to tackle on this topic on the Ukraine war, because we can see it is being said that our prices in Kenya are currently high because of the war between Ukraine and Russia, whereby more so about the wheat production, that Russia contributes 10% while Ukraine 4%. But in Kenya, we also got companies that produce wheat, like Nakuru County, Narok, Uasin Gishu. We also see like our farmers also crying because of the fertilizers. The price is also high. Yet in Kenya, we got also our factories like the Afri Ventures that produce the fertilizers. So I would urge our government, they need to start boosting our own farmers. We need to be sourcing our own food, and hence the effects, if they could boost our farmers, the effect we're having as Kenyans, the pain we are going. Doc, I'm telling you, 1 liter of oil was almost 400 bob. And our country, the Kenyans, we are suffering.
Yes,
so I
it's
think the
not,
government should look.
let me come in here to help. It is not only Kenya. 100 pounds in UK is now nothing. I have a family in the United Kingdom, and I tell you, my wife would tell me what when he goes to supermarket, to Tesco now, 100 pounds is almost the days when this crisis was not there. 100 pounds would fill halfway of what you need for 2 weeks. So the economies of the world are going to shrink. There's a shrinkage of economic activities. The food index, where Songa will tell you, the food index, the downs, whatever, what do you call them, where Songa?
It's called the Dow Jones Index.
The Dow Jones, the Japanese yen. Now
Yes.
we have the Chinese yuan. Apparently, what China has done, which is going to create India, China, Russia. India is buying the oil from Russia in Indian rupees. Something is changing. So the war in Ukraine, it needs a whole day, a whole hour. And I believe we want. So when you talk about the prices in Kenya, they are going to be even worse. In fact, when you get money, buy your unga and store your unga ya nganu na unga ile ngine. Nganu, especially the wheat. Bread is eaten everywhere in the world. You can't go to Australia and miss bread. But the biggest growers of wheat, it brings us back to our problems that Ruto tells us that cut down the maize and grow avocado. Yet the area where wheat could be grown is in the Rift Valley. Why haven't we empowered people, more people in the Rift Valley and the Nyanza region and other regions to grow wheat? So it all comes to the same thing. The stock exchange markets are fluctuating. Let me use the Ugandan English. They are fluctuating, fluctuation of markets, price fluctuations. So there where the index will create us where we are. Thank you. Let me finally hand the values, the norms, the prestige of this show to none other than Miriam to conclude for us by highlighting the key issues around the Sudan conflict that should be taken very seriously. Miriam Ogotu. Is Miriam there?
No, she seems to have a connection problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Miriam seemed to have gone. And but it's okay. Let me bring it to. She had a point which he made. I want to bring this to a close. I want to thank all of you, those who have listened to the story. For us, some of us like me, I knew a long time ago about Ruto's plans, and I've been telling friends of mine about what Ruto could be and what he can do. Because the man is very, 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 very hungry for power. Therefore, such a person, the Kenyans must stand up and ask, if the president and the deputy are not working, their nation is at risk of anything that can spark a conflict. Therefore, it is up to you Kenyans. For us as the fourth estate, we have said our much. We continue to say so. Our role is to educate the masses. Our role is not to be intimidated. And you cannot intimidate us when we are telling the masses the truth. Therefore, we say, we thank you, God. We thank you, Jesus. We thank you. Above all, I am Paul, writing a letter to Philippians. I am in Philippi, writing a letter to Philippians chapter 3 and 4. And I'm a Gentile preaching to the Jews. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you very much, Graduate. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Miriam Ogutu. And all of them who watched us. Maka Mayoni Gurech said stock exchange markets. Thank you very much. I'm reading your Alonzi Dabe Free Namdi Khan. Thank you very much. Nigerians will kill. Nigeria is kill people. They do. Buhari is a very dangerous man. The Mr. Makamayon Gurech says it is because they, Riak and Kill, want to rig or dismiss an upcoming election through another violence. Yes, they fear elections. Igebu, Obina, thank you very much. UN is for terrorism. I don't know about that, but it comes too late and does very little. James Friday, thank you very much. African leaders are all criminals and wicked. Oh my God. Yes. African leaders need to wake up now and do something. Santinio Akko, release Namdi Khan. Viewers, thank you very much. That has been Africa Showdown, a show brought to you by Dr. David Matsanga. This station, therefore, is for Africa, with Africa, by Africa. Ciao.